The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests, and are not those of Pesmo Radio, its employees or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements of any radio show programs or products mentioned on air, on our website, social media accounts and marketing materials. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to Pesmo Radio, its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing Pesmo Radio.
Are you a songwriter? Are you looking to turn your songwriting passion into a full-time gig? Whether you are just at the start of your songwriting journey or a seasoned industry professional, this show is made for you. Welcome to the Songwriter Show, bringing together songwriting news, interviews, and community. Now, welcome your host, Sarantos.
Thank you for tuning in, and welcome back to the Songwriter Show. I'm your host, Sarantos. I'm a solo music artist who's been writing lyrics for as long as I can remember. Words are very important to me, and that's why I'm so thrilled to host this show for you every Tuesday evening. I believe that every song is a story. The Songwriter Show is broadcast live on #1 ranked Pesmo Radio and has listeners in all 206 countries in the world and every state in America. The station is also licensed with ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and SoundExchange, and has partnerships throughout the music industry, including iHeartRadio and exposure to over 300 million listeners. Tonight's first and only guest is Izzie's Caravan. Izzie's Caravan is a project of passion formed by Izzie to explore the origins of rock and roll by revisiting the blues. Inspired by greats such as Lightning Hopkins, Buddy Guy, John Lee Hooker, and Clapton, Izzie has been active in writing and recording and has released a blues-based EP titled Leo's Guitar in 2019 and then Tom Petty-inspired EP Zephyrs in 2020. Izzie is set to release his third blues rock-based EP titled On the Pull in June 2020.
And now, welcome this week's special guest.
Welcome to the show, Izzie. How you doing tonight?
Hi, Sarantos. Glad to be here, man. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome, my friend. So tell us a little bit about what got you going down this path of music.
Yeah, it's really awesome where when we were growing up, one of the cool things was there was sort of this intercultural connection between my generation and the generation that came before, which is my parents, and the generation before that. So growing up in the 80s and 90s, right, I think there was that level of connectivity in terms of film and music and fashion and so on and so forth, right? So, I still remember that origin point when I was a 4-year-old kid and I heard Dire Straits, Money for Nothing. My dad, being an audiophile, right, he would always, he was one of those guys looking for that perfect sound, right? And so he was always in the speakers and stuff. And so he'd always crack that song up. And when I first heard it as a 4-year-old kid, I was like, wow, that's what I want to do, right? I mean, yeah. So from that moment on, I've always realized that the guitar would have a central part to play in my life. And it still does, coming on late 30s, touching 40 now. It's really cool, yeah.
Wow. Is guitar your main instrument? Is that the thing you focus on, or do you have something else you prefer?
I'm self-taught in drums, a little bit of keyboards, guitars. So I can sort of, divulge in multiple instruments. And that's when I formed Izzie's Caravan, the whole idea behind that was because it's myself who's writing all the blues music and stuff. But the Caravan aspect was always trying to connect with other like-minded musicians and artists who want to sort of, get on this journey together, right? I mean, I had done this before, honestly, and it didn't work out. I mean, I love the guys I still do, who I started my initial journey with, and obviously things didn't work out. We were a lot younger. We didn't sort of realize the intensive time and effort that goes into it. But now going in, I realized I had to have some level of control over what I do in terms of my music. But the cool thing is it's open, right? That Caravan means it's open to other artists who want to, at any point they want to collaborate, join in, be sort of like a, I'm not saying I'm Bob Dylan, but, Bob Dylan had the band, right? And so the Caravan app was more of opening up to other musicians, right? For example, on the Bull, this new EP that I'm coming out with, I have to give a big shout out to Jamie Laley from City of Thieves, which is a great band based out of the UK. And he did all the vocals on this record because I hate my voice, honestly. So I got him to do one of the songs, and he did it so well. I was like, "Hey, man, you want to do the whole record?" So I sort of roped him into doing the whole record, which was awesome because he did such a phenomenal job. So that's the whole Caravan idea behind, Izzie's Caravan.
What country are you from? You have a cool accent.
Yeah, I've all sort of, being of a geographically mobile family, whether it's, my sister lives in Manhattan, my brother is abroad, all my extended family is living abroad and stuff. I've, grew up in Southeast Asia, spent a lot of my time in Canada, back in Southeast Asia. So fluctuating between the two sort of regions. It's been interesting because it gives you such a perspective on life, man. And I think writing the blues, being a blues musician and stuff, I think having that sort of diverse perspective is so critical because you pick up on all the nuances and dysfunctionalities and the functionalities of multiple cultures, and it gives you that sort of extensive canvas to pick up a lot of stuff from, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think variety is so important, and we're all connected now throughout the world, and it doesn't matter where you are. You can work remotely with almost anybody. Yeah.
But even for this record, it was great working. I still have Rob McLean. He's my keys player. Brilliant guy. He's still based in Canada. Jamie's in the UK. And so the good thing of technology is, it does allow this sort of remote sort of connection, and people can have that degree of input. I mean, look at us, right? We're having this, brilliant conversation on music, and we're in different time zones altogether. So it's really cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Is your family musical? You mentioned you have an extensive family everywhere. Does anyone do music?
Not so. I mean, of course, I'm, as dysfunctional of a relationship I had with my dad. He was a big influence in terms of getting into a lot of these bands, right? Because again, growing up, I mean, in my house, we just had Pink Floyd and Dire Straits, and my mom's playing ABBA and whatnot, right? So there was this really sort of Western influence on me, and but being the middle child, I guess, I don't know. I sort of found my own niche in terms of what I wanted to do with my life, and I'm very different from my siblings and stuff. They're sort of very traditional in terms of careers and whatnot, but I've sort of taken this. Like again, that kid inside me just never died, right?
Sure.
And always itching to get out on the surface and doing this music and stuff. So I've been more on the, this altered path than they've been here.
Yeah. Any famous musicians that you admire that you want to confess to us?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I speak about the blues, it's just purely in reverence, and a lot of humility, because what I do, honestly, being in music, leaving music for over a decade, coming back into music with a definitive rationale that, look, when I play music now, it's got to be based on some degree of authenticity and appreciating the history, recognizing the history. So realizing the pathway and the culture and this profound history of the blues, and this this painful yet ironically beautiful American culture, the whole landscape of American history, right, and where blues and country came from and whatnot. To me was always, it just had such a profound experience. So guys like Lightning Hopkins, Buddy Guy, Johnny Winter was a huge influence on my latest EP. Clapton, right, Stevie Ray, your standard, but equally so getting back into the origins of where blues came from, right?
Sure.
It was just a great, really profound experience for me this time around.
Tell us a little bit about this blues influence. What was it, your dad, or what got you bit by that bug?
I think it was, when I was sort of growing up, I was really big into Aerosmith. Really, till today, I'm a diehard Aerosmith fan. And especially the first, I belong to the old school Aerosmith category, right? Where, you had the first 6 records, first 6 or 7 records, which just mean everything to me. So when I got into Aerosmith as a young kid, one of the cool things about rock and roll, again, that the influences that many of these rock bands have sort of have this ability to bleed through. So for me, becoming an Aerosmith fan meant, well, who influenced Aerosmith? Right.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So these guys influenced Aerosmith, right? You have Joe Perry saying, "I wouldn't pick up the guitar if I never heard Johnny Winter." And I'm like scratching my head, going, "All right, well, I gotta listen to this guy Johnny Winter." And suddenly I'm going, "Wait a minute! Wow, this is absolutely unreal." And then, of course, Clapton is a global phenomenon, right? He's
absolutely,
he's just a global phenomenon. So, and I keep, to me, Rollin' and Tumblin' is probably one of the greatest tracks ever written. So listen to Clapton's version of Rollin' and Tumblin'. Oh, wait a minute, where did he get this from? Oh, he got this from Robert Johnson. Oh, who's Robert Johnson? Getting into Robert Johnson, and then this whole thing just explodes into, and so obviously you get pulled down this the rabbit hole, so to speak, and this entire history opens up. And the cool thing about history is, whether you take Australian literature or American blues music, you sort of have this parallel there, right? In the sense, these are human stories. And to me, as a songwriter, I think human stories are really critical, material human stories, pain, processing that pain, right? Whether it's coming from the cotton fields or, whether it's based in unemployment or something. And so I sort of, honestly, that level of authenticity bleeds through into my tracks as well, right? In Leo's guitar, I have a song called Lightning's a Howlin'. Lightning's a Howlin' is basically a tribute to the blues, but the lyrics, if you go through the lyrics, it's just basically a guy, which is me, going through an average Sunday with a world in chaos in 2020. But you can still take that authenticity of the blues and put it into context today. And I think that's the beauty of the blues, that will never fluctuate. It has such an unshakable foundation. I don't think it's ever going to lose its place in American culture or a global culture. So yeah. I'm just a proud victim of that.
Yeah, sounds like you are. Tell us a little bit about your songwriting process. How often you try to write?
Let's just say, again, putting into context, I just finished On the Bull, believe it or not, just a few days ago. I'm going on record in saying it's easily the best thing I've done. Personally, musically, you can interview me 10, 15, 20 years from now, I'll still say On the Bull is the coolest thing I've ever done. It's just a dirty, bluesy, gritty rock record, heavily inspired by Johnny Winter again. But how I start off is, again, just honestly, just playing guitar, man. Playing guitar, practicing, And I really connect to drums as well. So, having learned the drums, again, I start playing stuff, put these cool drum beats on. And that the drums become a driving force. So once the bass dictates, all right, well, this is what you can do with these licks, riffs, and whatnot. And that's the beauty of blues guitar, which, to me, it's amusing when people say, oh, that's just the first thing you learn on guitar, and then you move on to this technical virtuosity and speed and whatnot, which to me, honestly, I sometimes find a degradation of the instrument, right? I don't think the guitar is about how fast you play, but what you can say with the guitar, right? Like any other instrument. So I let the drums and guitar sort of interplay. And once that happens, and I start sort of building on that platform, and once the platform is built, then the lyrics tend to come from just basic experiences. And those are usually the last things that's usually the last part of the process, which is, well, what do I want to speak about? And I mean, I'll have the idea in my head, but then I'll contextualize that in terms of maybe I'll just watch the news, and a lot of that just comes grounded in a sense of reality. And I like that realism, that sort of has that complex relationship with some degree of, again, I mean, it sounds very ironic, but some degree of escapism. For example, Drowning Man Blues is about a story of a guy who wants to give up everything. He's having a rough time midlife and just wants to experience life in Mississippi in the Delta and go and pay his, give homage to the great historical places in American history, where this grand tradition has its footing. But I think that's actually me, right? That's me as a character, and I'm seeing the world through this character's eyes. So I try to reflect that in my lyrics a lot.
Yeah. Do you prefer, when you write your lyrics, do you write them first and then figure out the melody, or do you kind of do the melody first?
I think I do the melody usually comes first. And then once that's grounded and that's laid out, that's when I start putting my story together. And the final piece of the puzzle of that story is, again, is it me personally? Am I going to write something about myself? Or am I going to create another fictional character and write and sort of contextualize and make my perception of reality concrete through this character? And that's what I try to do. There's another track on the board called Whiskey Alley Blues. And it's, again, it's an exercise in escapism where I'm using this character named Johnny, who's trying to be a blues guitar player, but everybody laughs at him. So all in all, it's basically a deviation of the entire sort of Robert Johnson legend, where he went to the crossroads and, so-and-so tuned his strings and suddenly he became virtuous. So I did that. I did a sort of take on that, but with a character that I invented. But I think this character is, again, just a reflection of who I am as a person. So the lyrics ultimately will culminate the entire, and then I put the entire sort of story into context. So yeah, it's really fascinating how it works out.
Yeah. Tell us about this song we're going to hear now. What do you want us to take from it? What do you want us to know about the inspiration behind it?
Drowning Man's Blues, that's again me paying some degree of tribute and singing in reverence to Mississippi and the Delta, and the history of the blues and blues tradition, blues artists, right? Some artists we recognize today, some who just history may have forgotten. So I'm really grounded in traditionalism in terms of, again, lyrics and music. Of course, it takes a much more gritty, sort of modernized take on it, but that's what Drowning Man Blues is trying to do. It's trying to relate to the middle class, everyday, average guy who's just making it through life, on a day-to-day basis. But deep down inside, they have a passion. And it's just about trying and fulfilling that passion. That's about it. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, you definitely sound passionate, and I could tell that just by talking to you. So we're going to take a listen to your song right now, and then we'll come back and talk some more, okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Here we go. Wow, Izzie, that was really cool. I can definitely see the passion just by talking to you, like I said earlier, but it definitely kind of flows out through your lyrics there.
Yeah, it's and again, like I said, it's grounded in some degree of authenticity and honesty, and I think part of it is allowing the influence of the greats that I sort of aspire aspire to be influenced by, and allow them to infiltrate my identity, right? Again, like Hopkins, Buddy Guy, Johnny Winter. So yeah, it was, and I think it's unfair that I think, if anything, blues musicians at least should really do their utmost to recognize, because particularly now, with unfortunately age, just we're in such an era where many of these legacy acts are going to be gone soon enough, right? The Stones aren't going to tour forever. Tragically, we had Little Richard pass away just recently. Chuck Berry's not there anymore. Johnny Winter has left us. So I think it's really important now that maybe through lyrics or through our music, appreciate being comfortable with that traditionalism. We can keep that going.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you have coming in the next year that we should be excited about? Anything you want to share with us?
So yeah, with On the Bull, honestly, took me, like I said, it was just done a few days ago, and so I think I'm experiencing some degree of withdrawal from it, because in this record honestly meant so much to me. It meant so much to me. Again, just sort of having that sort of, a transcendental relationship with Johnny Winter and Buddy Guy, and using that as a reference point to put this record out. And so I thought, maybe it's time to take a break, because, one record in December, one in February, one in June. But I'm just really enjoying this whole experience so much, especially being on shows like yours, right? And it's really cool, right? I mean, I really appreciate you having me here. So I'm really enjoying this thrill. And I guess being done with this record didn't really sort of, I don't want to take time off. I'm going to maybe take a few days, and then I have so many ideas. So I'm getting back in the studio and recording my fourth one, which should be out in Christmas. So yeah, that should be fun.
There's nothing wrong with putting out music all the time, my friend. I believe in the same thing, and I think it's just something your soul has to do.
Yes, absolutely, man. And especially now with this experience that globally we've all experienced, it's so therapeutic, man. It's been honestly, with this whole, I'm a bit of an introvert in a way, and I stay at home quite a bit. And, but getting by through this entire experience over the last few months was this record, right? It kept me busy. It kept me at home. It kept me in my studio all the time. So it was so therapeutic for me. And I don't want to let go of this momentum that I'm on. So I'm going to be starting my fourth one maybe next week or so, man.
Yeah, that's great. Before I forget to ask you, tell us about your website, your socials. Where can people listen to your music, buy it, check you out?
Yeah, again, like I said, the Caravan is a globe. I want to make it an open global community of like-minded people. So hunt me down at www.izziescaravan.com. IZZIES Caravan. You can always hunt me down on Instagram as well. Don't expect a lot of my own pictures. I know what I look like, so
I'm sure you're fine, man.
yeah. So I don't take a lot of selfies and stuff, man. I never really got into that stuff. But if you do really like Fender guitars, my Fenders are like my kids. As is my cat, who's my best friend. So if you like guitars and stuff, if you want to delve into my world, hunt me down on Instagram at Izzie's Caravan. YouTube, I keep posting a bunch of stuff on YouTube, videos and stuff. My new video for Drowned Man's Blues is coming out soon as well, so that should be awesome. I should be up there soon. And so yeah, that's, please, it's, welcome to the Caravan.
Any touring that you're going to be doing soon?
Oh man, the beauty of the blues is, of course, it's fun, and it's cool recording these songs and stuff, but ultimately it's being on the road, and I really miss that. It's been so long. It's been over a decade now, and hopefully, if things get better soon, maybe Christmas, but next summer for sure. And I hope to have so much music behind me before next summer that I'll definitely be on, hitting some city near you for sure, man.
Yeah. Okay. Any advice to other musicians? How do you get people to take you seriously in this world?
Wow, that's such a difficult question, especially with technology now. As cool as it is that you can get your music out so easily, it's also so difficult to distinguish yourself from all the stuff that's out there. I guess what I'd say is, conscientiously develop your identity in terms of what you want to be, right? And be okay with with who you are in your own skin. And it's not about likes and subscriptions and whatnot, right? Take it in your stride. I know that I'm, compared to say like a pop artist, I'm not going to get millions, but I'd rather have 100 people listen to my song or my music and say, wow, dude, this guy really understands the blues, right? So it's ultimately developing your identity as a guitar player. Don't just mimic, or it's not about speed, or it's not a competitive sport. It's art, it's conversation. I mean, I'd rather speak to somebody who speaks well rather than speaks fast. So, so say something with your guitar, say something with your drums, say something, and get engaged, but ultimately develop your identity and be really, really content, and have a thick skin, because, nowadays with social media and stuff, it's so, it can get ruthless sometimes. So be okay with who you are. And I guess that's what I'd say.
Last question I'm going to ask you before we listen to your second song. I try to ask every songwriter because we want to protect each other. Tell us about scams. Any you fallen for that we should be worried about, or just anything in general?
Wow, no, not really. Like I said, I try to preserve my music to as a therapeutic activity for my own self, right? So I try to keep it so regulated anyway. And believe it or not, I don't even really, how the first thing people do is they give it to their friends and they give it to their family members and stuff, blah, blah. I don't even give it to my friends or family members because I don't consider them a wider audience, right? Because I always find it to be a little bit superficial sometimes by your friends. Obviously, your friends and your family members will always be like, all right. But sorry, going back to your point, I try to keep it so regulated. Like I said, I'm very introverted, very personal. My personality stems from sort of like the JJK and the Izzie Stradlin, John Frusciante type people, right? Who are so private anyway. So I don't really allow a lot of people to enter into my, my therapeutic place, which is my music. So I haven't experienced that as well as yet. But I'm guessing, I initially did have some concerns when this stuff came out, especially when I did Zephyrs, and I heard some TV shows and stuff were planning to just hijack my songs without sort of giving any credit for it. And I personally was a little upset about that. So I called my friend who's a lawyer and I said, man, can they do that, right? I mean, I don't want my music on some of these shows, right?
Sure.
And he was like, yeah, just be careful though, because it's really hard to regulate this stuff now, right? I mean, so far so good, man. But I'm guessing, it's going to happen inevitably, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Tell us about this second song we're going to hear now. What do you want us to take from this song?
Well, you can play On the Pole, and On the Pole is the title track of my, again, and it's just an absolute raw, bluesy, guitar-oriented track, right? And lyrically, I did want to maybe push a little bit of the boundaries with this record in terms of some of the themes, and of course, it's a little bit of I'd say naughty. So I wanted to see how far I can go with that. And, but it was just the groove of it, and the riff and the keys which Rob put in were phenomenal. The guitar is loud and abrasive, right? I just wanted an abrasive sound to this. So it's just a straight fun track, right? And it's the title track of the new EP called On the Pole. And it's a car song. So, those of you who love a good track when you're driving down town, definitely put this on your playlist. It's just a fun song to drive to.
Yeah. Okay. All right, man. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I want to thank you and wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great. It's really, I really appreciate what you guys do. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. All right. In closing out the show, we're going to hear his last song, and then I'll be back to talk to you guys for a minute.
And here we go.
Town in a limousine, hit the bar for gasoline, check the steering in a hotel seat, she spread herself like a dairy
I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight, and I want to thank my guest, Izzie. To any listeners out there who may be artists, if you wish to be on the Songwriter Show, I invite you to submit the interview request form or just reach out and email me. Thank you again for listening. I hope your own unique story gets heard around the world. My name is Sarantos. Please join me every Tuesday night to hear other amazing artists share their fascinating behind-the-scenes stories right here at the Songwriter Show. And tonight, I'm going to leave you with an adult contemporary song of mine called Your Empty Chair. Have you ever wanted something? Have you ever wanted something so badly you could almost taste it on the edge of your lips, feel it in your tired bones, in the sad depths of your very soul? No matter what anyone says, you just always felt that it was something you were meant to do. This is what music is for me. I don't pursue it for fame or money. I've had more resistance than support along the way, but I've grown to be okay with that. You can't force love. Like anything in life, nothing is easy. And I've always been a fighter, and I've never been a quitter. And that's not going to start anytime soon. So love is hard, but giving up on love would be so easy, and we've all been there. It would be so easy to walk away, wouldn't it? I don't know about you, but that's something I just can't do, even if it means staring at an empty chair. So enjoy the song, and thank you for tuning in. I'll see you again next Tuesday night. Have a great night. I love you all.
I grow silent as we argue, and though the tide raises all ships, no one comes to the rescue. As the iceberg hits, giving up would be easy, but it's something I just can't do. I love you so very deeply. I don't want normal, I just want you. Why do I do it? Why do I chase this silly dream? I do it because it means the world to me. Do you remember me practicing religiously? All alone in our bedroom, always working instead of living. You held your breath and pouted. We jousted as you doubted and shouted. Our box got pretty crowded. Music was all you left me. That's all that's here among the debris. Night after night, I still pretend you're there, and I sing faithfully to your empty chair. Always singing to your empty chair, pretending that you're there. Do you really not understand who I am every night? Do you really not give a damn? Though you see how hard I try, I never ever changed, 'cause it's something I just can't do. I've always been the same. I always stayed right here with you. Do you remember me practicing religiously? All alone in our bedroom, always working instead of living. You held your breath and pouted. We jousted as you doubted and shouted. Our box got pretty crowded. Music was all you left me. That's all that's here among the debris. Night after night, I still pretend you're there, and I sing faithfully to your empty chair. Always singing to your empty chair, pretending that you're there. Why did you just smile at me? Have you suddenly falling in love again with my dreaming. Just by breathing, you gave me everything. But when you asked me not to dream, all I could do was watch you leave. So now all that's left over there is your empty chair.
Thank you for listening to The Songwriter Show. To keep the momentum going, head over to www.songwritershow.com and join our free music community of artists, songwriters, and producers. That's www.songwritershow.com.
Thank you for choosing Pesmo Radio.